good students. My name is CPA Aringo Frederick. I teach Advanced Management Accounting at M. Darasa Digital College, and this semester I'll be your shepherd. I'll take you through Advanced Management Accounting, as you all know that this is one of the shortest semester that we normally tend to have. So today being our first class, as it has always been our tradition, I'll take you through the overview, what you are expected to cover anytime you're handling advanced management accounting. In addition, what we'll also be looking at, of course, will be the specific areas that you need to be very good at. And in addition to that, the best strategy that you can always tend to employ as we are looking at this semester, one of the shortest semester ever. So, looking at advanced management accounting, first of all, I want us to have that mentality. There is a very interesting, paper, given that it is a quantitative. But again, you find that it is a very interesting paper if at all we are approaching it with a very positive mentality, and that's what I want us to adopt as we are doing these good paper of ours here. So I'm mentioning that then, as it has always been our tradition, as Mwalimu was said, I want us to look at the overview. Yeah, I want us to look at the overview of what this entails. So you'll find that in advanced management accounting, we're looking at only 8 topics. They might seem to be maybe very few topics, but you'll find that by their nature, they are wide. So it will be important that we look at it keenly and make sure that each and every step we have it right. So what will you be expected to cover when you're looking at advanced management accounting? Number one, considering topic number one, what will be expected to cover here is aspect to do strategic management accounting information. This is strategic management accounting information. Strategic management accounting information. So what we will be expected to understand here, first of all, this is one of the 2 theories topic that we have at this level. So it is always about us understanding the sources of strategic management accounting information. Of course, talk about the role of strategic management accounting, look at the scopes and limitations of management accounting, as well as the ethical standards for management accountants. These are what will be expected, of course, to look at in topic number 1. So, just like any other topic, of course, or any other unit, first of all, we have to be introduced to what we need to understand. And clearly you can see really about strategic. Anytime we look at the component of strategic, what must always tend to come at the back of our mind? Aspect of long term. That is a very key element that we should always be able to understand. Topic number 2, probably it relates with what we did back then in our basic level of management accounting. But ideally in topic number 2 is what we're referring to as cost estimation and interpretation. Talk about cost estimation and interpretation. Cost estimation and interpretation. So this is also another element that we will be expected, of course, to understand. So other than what we did, you'll find that topic number 2, we will be introduced to the concept of learning curve. I know we didn't handle learning curve at our basic level. We'll also be introduced to the concept of analysis of variance, what we are normally referred to as ANOVA. It is at this topic that will also be introduced, of course, to the concept of multiple regression analysis. I know at our basic level you must have handled, of course, the simple linear regression analysis. But at this level, we'll be expected also to go deep and look at the aspect of multiple regression analysis. And actually, it is one of the easiest part. So these are where we are starting with our computation. That is topic number 2. In that case, that should take us to, of course, topic number 3. Topic number 3, what will we be expected to cover? This will be planning and decision-making techniques. Planning and decision-making techniques. planning and decision making techniques. This is also a very unique area that we'll be expected to understand, because at this point, yes, we'll be talking about the concept of CVP analysis. We'll also be talking about the concept of decision making and uncertainties. We'll be looking at the aspect of the expected values, as well as application of marginal costing. So it's quite a wide topic, but again, you'll find that it is very important. So the knowledge that we had at our basic level, then you will also be required at least to apply it at this point. But the approach of Mwalimu would be, I'm going to assume we've never handled, of course, anything in relation to the same, even at your basic level, so that at least it will open our scope to be able to understand the whole of these concepts. So this should take us to topic number 4. And in topic number 4, what we are required to understand is the aspect to do the pricing decisions. See, so this is pricing decisions. So when you're looking at pricing decisions, recall, we just want to establish, of course, how are we supposed to do it? How are we supposed to set the prices of our commodities? In this case, we talk about the concept of external pricing. We talk about the concept of internal pricing, commonly known as, of course, transfer pricing. And also, in addition to that, we'll also be looking at the concept that normally referred to as what? The product life cycle costing. And we have to be very tentative with our product life cycle costing this time, because it is very key that we be able to understand it clearly. So topic number 5 will take us to a very interesting part, which we normally refer to as, of course, strategic performance measurement. Strategic performance measurement. So this is also a very interesting area to be able to get to know. Strategic performance measurement is also one of the most interesting area that you need to be able to understand. So we're looking at strategic performance measurement. All that will be required to understand here is simply aspect of performance measures. We're talking about the concept of ROI, we're talking about the concept of residual income. We'll be expected, of course, to understand it at that level. Look at topic number 6. What will we be expected to cover or understand when dealing with topic number 6? This is all about inventory control decisions. See, so we're having inventory control decisions. So this is one key area that, again, we must be very keen with. Yes, we might have handled this at our basic level, but we'll find at this point we'll be introducing concepts to do with perishable products. We'll be introducing concepts probably to do with the aspect of where we're having probability of stock out costs. So again, it is a key area that we need to be very keen with when it comes to matters of what solving this concept. So topic number 7, in this case, is what we normally refer to as budgetary control techniques. So we're having, of course, budgetary control techniques. See, so this is also another key area that you need to understand, the budgetary control techniques. So looking at the budgetary control techniques, what's the secret behind it? The secret behind budgetary control techniques, you're looking at, of course, the types of budgets, and one that will stood out here is the aspect of activity-based budgeting. We talk about the flexible budgeting. You see, so these are the items that will stood out here, including, it is at this point that we'll also be looking at the concept of variance analysis. And in that case, we'll also be looking at the advanced variance analysis concept. So that is what we'll be handling, of course, at that point. This should take us to topic number 7, or topic number 8, which is our last topic. Topic number 8 is what we are referring to as environmental management accounting. So we have environmental management accounting. So when looking at environmental management accounting, number 1, we need to understand that this is a theoretical part where we are required, of course, to consider the aspect of sustainability, where we need to understand as management accountants what is the most relevant element that you need to be able to understand when dealing with these facts. See, so all these topics are equally important. At this point, all these topics are equally important because the beauty part with management accounting is that there's no topic that doesn't have a probability of not coming. They normally have equal chances of being tested when it comes to examination. So in this case, you'll find that this will be our strategy. Number one, Mwalimu will share this theory part. So there are very good notes that I've prepared, which I'm going to share. There are very good notes that I've prepared, which I'm going to share in relation to topic number 8 and topic number 1. These are the theory part. Me sharing the notes, it doesn't mean that I won't take you through. Of course, we will go through these areas. Me sharing the notes, it doesn't mean that you're not going through. Of course, you're going to look at it deeply and be able to understand the whole concept of what these areas entails. So that will leave us with topic number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our strategy would be, number one, we are going to start with topic number 2. This will be our number 1 in terms of working out in class. Looking at topic number 2 being our 1, once we clear with this, we are going to jump to topic number 7. So this will be our number 2. After looking at topic number 2, we will come back to topic number, of course, 3. This will be our number 3, planning decision-making techniques. After looking at planning decision-making techniques, we are going to jump to inventory control. So this will be our number 4. After looking at inventory control decisions being our number 4, once we are through with that, then we will jump into the aspect of pricing decisions. So this would be our number 5. Then finally, the one that you're going to clear with will be strategic performance measurement. So this strategy will help us, of course, to make sure that we clear our classes early in advance and also provide us with time to do our revisions and also provide us with time to do our revisions. See, it has always worked, and also believe this time round it will also work. So this is important to make sure that at least we have it in mind. Very important to note. Very, very important to note. So, considering what you are going to cover, the other strategy that Mwalimu will also want to make sure that all of us, at least you adopt, would be, number 1, we have very good learning management system, which you can access it, of course, on our platform, that is app.mdarasa.com. I'll want us, if possible, all of us right now, we do create an account here, app.mdarasa.com. If possible, I want all of us to create an account on this platform right away. So, in the event that you've missed a class, probably due to some other commitments, you log into your account, you get access to whatever that you've done. In the event that you want to study in advance, you log into account. Maybe Mwalimu will say that tomorrow you're going to handle budgetary control techniques. What I'm going to expect from you is that you log into the account, scroll to where we have budgetary control techniques, try to go through these classes in advance so that by the time we are doing it in class, already you will have gone through what? Through the class. This will help us a lot because you'll find that looking at all these elements, many a times it will be very important to have a very good strategy that with the time, of course, factor, which is our limitation, we have to push ourselves to the limit. So I'll also expect maximum cooperation, of course, from us. And using this strategy, I'm 100% sure that we're going to clear our syllabus on time, even with this limited time, and do our revisions properly for advanced management accounting. That one I'm 100% sure. And as always, I know all of us will always be smiling by the time we are clearing our semester. That one I'm just 100% sure of. I'm just 100% sure of. So, Molimo, because it is our first class, can we end it here? No. After looking at this intro part, I want us to jump straight and start working. So at this point, we are looking at cost estimation and interpretation. That is what I want us to start with, of course, from this segment. I'll share topic number 1. Actually, I'm just sharing it in the group right now. I'm sharing topic number 1 and topic number 8 so that you can start going through these notes in advance. See, so at this point, allow me to raise this point here. So we want to start by looking at cost estimation being our topic number 2. So that is what we want to start, of course, considering in our segment today. Of course, being our first session, I know won't look much, probably because there are those who are still like, I'm going to join next week, I'm going to join next week. No worries, won't do much. So we have cost estimation and interpretation. We have cost estimation and interpretation. Cost estimation, of course, and interpretation. So this is cost estimation and interpretation. So you'll find that this is one of the most interesting and also easy topic to get to understand, which in this case we will be looking at it. When looking at cost estimation and interpretation, what will you be required to understand? Number 1 is for us to be able to understand that the whole concept of estimation is more to do with prediction, is more to do with predetermination, is more to do with forecasting. And we can't forecast without the previous data. For me to say that tomorrow this is what you're going to have, that means that at least I should be having a previous data to base my opinion on. So that if I told you to say that next week or in the next 3 months, the cost of a kg of sugar will be going at this much, how will I be able to estimate this? I'm going to estimate this to the fact that I am basing it on the current prices. So you'll find that the whole idea behind the estimation, all that we normally consider is that I need to predetermine the cost. I need to forecast the cost in future. I need to predict the cost in future. This is what we are looking at under cost estimation. All this I'm giving you, of course, synonyms of what, of course, estimation entails. See, so it's not something that has happened, but it's something that we're trying to come up with. So the whole idea behind cost estimation is that we want to look at methods that we would wish to use in management accounting to predict our costs in future, which will entail, number 1, we talk about, of course, the common items. In this case, we'll be looking at, of course, talk about industrial engineering method. See, we have industrial engineering method. Industrial engineering method. Number 2, we normally tend to talk about accounts analysis method. Accounts analysis method. Of course, number 3, we normally consider what we normally refer to as, of course, the aspect of high-low method. High-low method. We consider, of course, number 4, what we normally refer to as what? Least square regression method. Ordinary or least square, ordinary least square regression analysis. Regression analysis method. See? So these are what we normally tend to consider, where it is at this point that we'll also be looking at the multiple regression, because remember, at this point we normally look at single and multiple regression analysis. You see, we have single and we have what? Multiple regression analysis. So these are the common methods that we'll always be considering anytime we are looking at what? The aspect to do with a regression. In addition, you'll also find that we'll be looking at the concept to do with analysis of variance. Assuming this one is our A, we'll also be required to understand the concept of ANOVA, that is analysis of variance. There is also other concept that will also be required to understand. That is analysis of variance is more to do with analysis of variance. That is appraisal of regression analysis, which will have to understand the whole concept of the standard error of estimates, which will be looking at it. And also, it is at this point that will also be required to understand, of course, the computer output still under regression analysis, which you can just link it to that bit. Will also be required now to understand the concept to do with learning curve models. Talk about learning curve models and their applications. See, the learning curve models. So by the time we are through with our class, then we must make sure that we've perfected on these areas. We must make sure that we've perfected, of course, on these areas. That is a very important element that we need to be able to establish. So because now we've formed a foundation on what we're going to look at this point, by the time, of course, we're through this class, I'll want us, of course, to have understood majority of the concepts here. I'll want us to have understood, of course, majority of the concept, given that this is always a very interesting class. See, so in this case, of course, I'll want us to start by considering just but to mention, I'll want us to start by looking at number one, that is aspect to do with the methods. So my focus would be, by the time you are through this session, I want us to have covered industrial engineering method, accounts analysis method, as well as, of course, we should have covered high-low method and introduce a bit of ordinary least square regression analysis, and my focus will be in relation to multiple. So that by the time you are through with this, I believe you can be able to handle these elements very clearly. So we start with the first method, which I'm just going to mention for us to have it, because again, you realize that this is not a complicated item. It is not a complicated item, more so when we are dealing with at this level, and also basically also at the basic level, you realize that the concept therein is not complicated. See, so we start by looking at the first element. Which is what? Regression or industrial engineering method. We start by considering industrial engineering method. So number one, at this point, I just mentioned because it isn't something complicated. See, so when dealing with industrial engineering method, I want us to look at it as a point of, from whatever that Mwalimu has said, that all times whenever we'll be looking at cost estimation, we want to predict cost in future. So industrial engineering method, it is a unique method. The reason why it is a unique method, it is because I am predicting cost based on observation. See, looking at industrial engineering method here, Mwalimu is saying that we normally consider estimating our cost based from observation. Why? Because at this level or method, I don't have existing previous costs. So if at all I was to predict my cost in future, what you're going to consider is the observation. I won't base it on the previous data because it is not existing. So that is the aspect of industrial engineering method, as simple as that. As simple as that, considering industrial engineering method, whereby this is a cost estimation method that is used where no previous cost exists. and looking at it at that point, Mwalimu clearly has said that it will be important. Why? Because at that point you'll find that our focus majorly will be in relation to observation. So once we have mastered the first method, at this point I want us to jump to the second method, which is high-low method. So we look at number 2. I want us to consider high-low method. High-low method. It is important to understand the concept behind high-low method. Very important to understand the concept behind high-low method. So when looking at high-low method, in this context, my good students, we simply need to understand that anytime I am using high-low method to do a prediction, the focus will be is that using this method, or rather this is a method of cost estimation, where the highest and lowest point of activity is identified. Cost estimation method where the highest and lowest level of activity is identified. The basis of identification is a value of x. The basis of identification is a value of x. The main objective is to come up with a cost predictor equation. The main objective is to come up with a cost predictor equation in the form of y is equal to a plus bx. This is always the main reason, or why we'll always tend to come up with what? Our cost predictor equation, or rather the aspect of high-low method. The main element or reason is to come up with a cost predictor equation in the form of y is equal to a plus bx. So in this context, we'll find that analyzing our variables, in this case, y will entail aspect to do with our total cost. These are total cost. Or simply, we can talk about aspect of what? This is also termed as dependent variable. Dependent variable. See, it is important to understand these factors from this point. Dependent variable. We have the value of a. So a, in this case, we are looking at the aspect to do with fixed cost, or simply we are looking at constant. In other case, you can refer to this as what? As our intercept. See, we can refer to that as our aspect of, talk about, of course, intercept. See, we have the value of b. What b will give us in this context, we are looking at variable cost per unit. So this is variable cost per unit, or simply we can refer to this as the aspect of constant, or this is what? Slope. We have x in this context. My x will give us what you're referring to as the units, or simply this is the independent variable. This is the independent variable. See, so what will lead us to have this cost? It is the values of x. This will be the determinant. This is what will lead us to incur a specific cost that I wish to incur. So you'll find that at all times it is always very key to make sure that we do understand the aspect of x. Now, the interesting part with high-low method, you said, our task will always be to identify the highest and lowest values of our activities. See, so what our key element, and that is what will distinguish this method with all other methods, is for us to determine the value of B. Once you know how to determine the value of B at this point, there's no any question that you'll ever find a challenge in handling. So how will you identify the value of the value of B? The value of B we are going to talk about, of course, you take the highest cost of the activity minus the lowest cost of the activity. We are going to divide all this by the highest level of the activity. This is the highest level in terms of production. You less the lowest level in terms of the production. So here we are looking at, this is highest Y, lowest Y, and this is highest X and lowest X. So once we are able to determine this, you're done with high-low method. You're literally done with high-low method. And in this case, I want us to prove how this concept is simple by looking at a question from our past paper here. So in this case, if possible, because we have our past papers, I want us to go to December 2024, question 1B. December 2024, question number 1B. December 2024, question number 1B. So I want us, of course, to look at that question, all of us right now. Let me share the question in our screen so that you can all have it. So that you can all have it. So that you can all have it. Sharing the question right now in our screen. So that I want to show you guys how these concepts basically are quite simple. You don't need to struggle. You don't need to struggle at all, at all, at all, at all. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So this is a question I'm sharing with us in our screen. I believe it's very visible to us. I believe it's very visible to us, yeah? So, looking at this question, these are what you're told. Part B specifically, that the management of Mario Processing Company Limited, this is Advanced Management Accounting, December 2024, question number 1, part B. The management of Mario Processing Company Limited wishes to obtain a better cost estimate to evaluate the company's operations more effectively. The following information is provided to you for analysis. We are told year 2023 equivalent production and we are having overheads. So your task here would be to identify the values of X, because that is what will help us in identifying our case. January all the way to December. Then we are told, part 1, using high-low method, formulate the overhead cost function in the form of Y is equal to A plus BX. See the marks that the examiner is giving us. This good examiner is giving us almost 10 or rather 4 marks only to do that bit. See, so in this case, part 2 of the question, you are told, using the regression method, estimate the overhead cost function, as well as you're told the coefficient of determination R squared has been determined to be 0.913, so you need to interpret our results. Of course, Mwalimu will show us how to go about the same in terms of coefficient of determination. So looking at that case, what will you be expected to do here? The first thing is for us to have our question here. I believe it is very visible still. It is very visible. Yeah, it is very visible. So first thing is for us to consider and recall what Mwalimu has guided us. Using high-low, we need to identify the highest level of activity and the lowest level of activity, with the values of X being the basis of identification. So to make our task very easy, this is what you're going to do. We want to determine the highest and lowest level of activity. See, we want to determine the highest and lowest level of activity or simply what you can do in a very simple term, we have here xy, we have the values of x, and we have the values of y, so you need highest and you need what? Lowest level. So in our question, let us determine the highest x and lowest x, as well as the highest y and lowest y. So what will we be having? I want you to help Mwalimu to identify that. The basis of our identification is x. So what is our x? Remember, x is a number of units. So x, we come and check the highest level. You can see is what? 14, 950, 16, 90, 10, 8, 12, 13, 14. So can we agree that it is April? Can we agree that we're having April? 1690. Yeah? So x highest, we can see it is 1690. Corresponding value of that to y, we can clearly observe we are given 15 to 80. So 15 to 80. What about the lowest? Lowest in this case, I can see that we have a value of 834. Nonetheless, there is another less that Mwalimu was not seen. I can see we're having 834. Lowest, 834. Corresponding value of that, I can see we do have what? 9150. Yeah? So you take 9150, 9150. So looking at 834 and 9150, what next is important is for us to come back to what Mwalimu has guided us here. See, how to go about B and how to go about determination of B. So that is what will be required, of course, to be able to understand at this point. So then, in that case, we do this together. I want us to determine the value of B and finally come up with a cost predictor equation in the form of y is equal to a plus bx, just as what Mwalimu had guided us. See, so then these are what you're doing. This is what you're doing. Very important for us. Very, very important for us. Just a moment, share my screen. Okay. So these are what we need to do. Our main focus is to come up with this cost predictor equation in the form of y is equal to a plus bx. But what Mwalimu has guided us is that before that, I need to establish the value of b. So my b in this context, we are going to take highest value of y, highest cost, 15 to 80, minus lowest cost, 9150, we divide by highest x, 1690, minus lowest x, 834. So this will enable us to determine, first of all, the value of b. And once we have the value of b, we are literally done. So that should be 15 to 80, we less 9150, we divide this case 1690, we less 834. See, 834. So that in the long run, at this point, I'm getting my value of b to be 7.16. 7.16. At least 2 decimal places. So once we've established our b, can we now determine our equation? It will now be very easy for us to determine our equation because now we take our first case. My y in high is 15 to 80 is equal to a that I don't have plus bx, which in this case my b is 7.16 right now, times the quantity at the highest level is 1690. So can we now determine our a? We can easily determine our a. because I'm taking 1690 times 7.16, of course, that should be 12100.4. So we agree 15 to 80 is equal to A plus 12100.40. So what is my value of A? We agree therefore that my A will therefore be 15 to 80 with less 12100.40. Yeah. So 15 to 80 minus answer. Kindly confirm if at all you're getting the same value with Mwalimu. Mwalimu is getting a value of 331.79.6. 3179.6, that is what Mwalimu is getting. So easily we can agree and say that therefore my equation would be y is equal to 3179.6 plus my value, which is b 7.16. We have what? X. As simple as that. You determine your equation. See, that has taken how many minutes for us to do that? Essence or key element to understand is for us to reflect and understand the nose that Mwalimu has guided us here. Solving such a question, it will always be very, very, very easy. That's what I can assure you. And that's the beauty part with management accounting. All the concepts, so long as you're able to understand the foundation part of it, working it out, it will always be very easy. Probably Mwalimu will ask, one will ask, Mwalimu, why have we taken the first equation? What if we could have taken the second equation for the lowest? Could I be penalized? No, because like if I told you to work out with the second equation, in this case, assuming you're working with the second equation, the same case will have been, you come and take your second equation, so long as you know our equation is equals to ya plus bx. And Mwalimu had explained for us the variables here. See, Mwalimu had explained for us all these variables. So I know my y, which is my total cost. If at all I'm using the lowest, I'll be having 9150, which is equal to A. A is our fixed cost. We don't have A anywhere here. So A, a known value, plus I have X, which in this case, my X, we having what? 834. So we have that is 834. You see? We have determined our B times 7.16. See? And you want to determine your A. The same concept will apply if at all even use the second equation, because we're about 834 times 7.16 to give us 5971, 9150 minus answer. See, you are getting almost the same value, 3178.56, which is literally 31.3179. See, so getting the same values. So you'll find that using either will work. Using either of the equation will work. So this is high-low method. I'm going to share another question with us for us to attempt. I'm going to share another question with us for us to be able to do it, for us to be able to attempt. So the second part here, I want us to jump to regression analysis. This is our first class. You're just doing simple things, okay? So in this case, we go to the second method, which I want us to consider regression analysis method. And Mwalimu is going to show us a very simple step that I always want us to always use this. So long as you're attending Mwalimu's class here, I'm not expecting us to always go the longer route with what I'm going to guide us right now in terms of regression analysis. So here we go to regression analysis. We go to regression analysis, which you're having here. Regression analysis. See, which we're working as regression analysis. So regression analysis, what we need to understand is that at this point, these are the statistical method of estimating our cost. It is a statistical method of estimating our cost, where the consideration will always be my cost predictor equation, which will never change, our cost predictor equation will always be in the form of y is equal to a plus bx. This cost predictor equation will never change. Only that at this point, I'll be looking at two forms. What we need to dissect under regression analysis would be, I'll be looking at, of course, single, and I'll be looking at multiple regression analysis. Where single is simply whereby you are considering only one or maybe variable, two variables. In this case, you're considering, of course, whenever I'm talking of these variables, we're looking at what? The aspect of independent variable. Only one or single independent variable. Multiple, we're looking at more than one independent variable, predictor variable. See? And also at this point, we'll be looking at the appraisal of regression analysis. Appraisal of regression analysis, whereby the whole idea now will be the concept to do with aspect of analysis of variance, the aspect of the standard error of estimate. Now we'll be looking at it at that level. So single, Mwalimu is saying that we are considering situation whereby I'm only talking about what? One predictor, and in this case we're looking at what? More than one predictor. More than one predictor. So more than one predictor variables, what you are considering simply are what? The values of x. See? So what is the main element behind regression here? The main consideration behind regression is simple. Given that my equation here is a plus bx, I need to identify first of all the value of b. How will we determine b? Of course, we need to have our variables. Summation of x, y, and of course, considering that is n, number of variables, summation of x, y, we are going to less, of course, summation of x, summation of y. All of this we are going to consider, of course, summation of x squared, summation of x squared, kindly have that all of us, summation of x squared. And at this point, these are where, of course, majority of the students will always tend to confuse. So have it fast so that you should not say, Mwalimu, kindly take us slow. Mwalimu, kindly take us slow. I'll take you slow, of course. I'll take you slow. I'll take you slow. I'll take you slow. So, believe that you're through with that, right? So you're looking at summation of x squared. Remember, in this case, you're looking at the number of data values. In this case, you're going to less summation of x, then you square. Summation of x, then you square. Get this difference. Here, we are looking at summation of x squared. Whereas on this other end, we're looking at summation of x, then we do what? Then we square. We're going to look at it right now. So, in this case, we have also to determine the values of a. So, how will you determine your a? We're looking at a to be a factor which is important to consider. Talk about summation of y minus b, summation of x. All of these we divide by the number of our data values. See, number of our data values. So once we've established this, let me explain the variables, then we jump to our question here. In this context, n is the only variable that we have not looked at. N, my good students, we are looking at the number of values. N is simply number of values. That is our n. Whereas, of course, x is what we had looked at earlier on. Y is what we had looked at earlier on. So, n is simply the number of values that you're having. This sign is a sign of summation. This is just but a sign of summation. So in this case, I want us to jump to our question here. In this case, I want us to jump to our question here and see what we have so that we can be able to understand it clearly. We jump again to the question that we've just done right now. November, that should be, of course, the question that you're looking at right now, this question here. December 2024. December 2024, Advanced Management Accounting. December 2024. We jump to that part. So we're looking at December 2024, still the same question, December 2024. So in this question, again, part 2 of the question, you're told to use the regression method to estimate the overhead cost function. If I told you you're attending Mwalimu's class, if I told you you're attending Mwalimu Zaringo's class, this will always be the shortcut that I'll always want us to use. First thing to save your time, number one, we need to consider the variables that you're given, which you can literally take your time very fast, copy and paste. So what you're going to do here, I'm looking at January all the way to December. So I'm having one, so consider our values of X and Y. So I'm having X, we're having Y. I only need this bit. So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just to show the examiner that you're not using microscopic eyes. You just want to show the examiner here that you know what you're doing and you're not copying. So we have X and we have Y. So we copy paste the values of X and Y exactly the way you're given. That is what you're taking. Exactly the way you're given. That is what you're taking. So we start with the values of X, 1425. We have, of course, 950. We have, of course, 1130. Considering the other value, 1690. Consider the aspect of 1006. We have aspect of 834. We have aspect of 892, that is 982. 982. We have the other aspect of 1259. 1259. We have, of course, 1385. We have, of course, 1420. We talk about aspect of 1125. And you have 980. Show the examiner that you're not using microscopic eyes. Come and copy paste the values of Y. 1285. We have, of course, 9875. We have 10450. We're looking at the values of Y, 15 to 80. 15 to 80. We have 9915. We have, of course, 9150 here. We have 10133. We have 11981. Consider 12045. We have, of course, 13180. Consider, of course, 11910. And finally, we are looking at 10431. 10431. See. So once you have established that, look at how our work will be very simple. In this case, showing this is to prove to the examiner that you're not using microscopic eyes. So the secret is for you to earn the full marks, you've come and established the formula. First of all, you put this formula down so that the examiner will know you know what you're doing. You've indicated the value of B and the value of A. What you have literally proved to the examiner that at this point you know what you're doing. You see, so that it should be like you're just using microscopic eyes. No, you show the examiner first of all you know what you're doing. You've attended Mwalimu Zaringo's class. See, then the next element is for us to break down these variables, and this is where the magic could happen. This is where I want us to see where the magic will come in play. We determine, of course, summation of x, y, summation of x, summation of y. You come and determine summation of x squared, then summation of x, then you square this. Then, of course, you can go ahead and determine the value of B and the value of A, purely indicating it at this point, so that whoever that is marking your paper doesn't assume that you copied. So once we have this, I want us to jump straight to our calculator. I want us to jump straight to our calculator. Of course, there is an instruction that I'd given some times back on how to go about this, but still I'm going to work it out for us so that you can be able to get this right. So in our calculator, I want us to follow these steps, whereby we need to clear your calc first. How do you clear? Clear calc to clear your calculator. Step 1, you click shift. Step 2, you click mode. Step 3, you click in your calc where you can see all, you click that number on mine is indicating 3. Then you click, of course, equal sign times 2. You click equal sign times 2. So what you've done, that is the first step. You have cleared your calc. The second step now is for us to input regression parameters. How will we go about that? We want to input our regression. Of course, you can always go on the video and rewind it, of course, yeah? So we want to put regression parameter. Regression parameter is what I want us to put in our calculator. How do you put this regression parameter? Kindly let us follow this together. You click shift. Of course, that one is to clear. So I want us to click mode. On your calculator, click mode. If you click mode, you scroll. By scrolling, in this case, I'm not sure if at all, let me see if at all I can do something here so that you can all see. So my hand has a lot of ink, but no worries. I believe somehow this is quite visible. See, so what you're doing here, we are clicking, of course, the aspect of this direction. You see, you click this direction here, like that. We check where my regression is. So again, I click that bit, see? So you check, you click mode to see where your bit is. You said the first method, you click mode, right? We don't see regression yet. Click mode again. I can see standard deviation, REG, and we're having the base. So what you're doing, we want to click regression, which is our, on my calc is showing 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click 2. I have linear, logarithm, and we have exponential. What are we solving in this case? Whatever that we are solving at this point, we are solving aspect of linear. So linear is indicating 1. So I come and click 1 because that is what is indicating. I click 1. So if at all you check on your calc somewhere on top here, you'll see that it is on the regression mode. So once on the regression mode, going back to our board, once on the regression mode, this is what I want us to do together. Once on the regression mode, we want to input our values starting with the values of x. Starting with the values of x. See. So starting with the values of x, I know you have the values. I believe you have the values. So this is what we're going to do. I'll just do this here together. Believe that my calc is visible. My first value is 1425. I do comma. Where are you going to get the comma? In your calculator, you can see my comma is just besides the m plus comma. I put the value of y, which is 12,185. So once I've inputted 12,185, you see on my calculator there is sign of m plus. So what I'm going to do, I click m plus. You see it will show as m is equal to 1. I proceed to number 2. I do 950, comma 9875. Again, I come and press m plus. So I just do m plus. Once I do m plus, it will show that it will tell us that n is equal to 2. Using the same procedure, I want us to do for all these items. I want us to do for all the items there. I want us to do for all these items. The one that we have there. We've done up to n is equal to number 2. The worst thing is that when you make a mistake, remember, using this shortcut, you have to go back, clear your and redo it again. So make sure that you're very keen with the values that you're doing, with the values that you're inputting. Make sure that you're very clean with the values that you are inputting. That will help us a lot. See, so we go to the next bit, as Mwalimu is saying. We go to the next component where I'm talking about 1130. Yeah, so we do 1130, comma 10450 m plus 1690, comma 15 to 80 m plus 1006, comma 9915 m plus 834, comma 9150 m plus 9150, of course, m plus, yeah. So once we are on that 9150, of course, we go to the next, which is 982, comma 10133 m plus 1259, comma 11981 m plus 1385, comma 12045 m plus 1420, comma 13180 m plus 1125, comma 11910 m plus. We have, of course, 980, comma 10431 m plus. See, so eventually on my n value, which I believe all of us you are achieving, if at all you're doing the Mwalimu, my n value will show that my n is equal to 12. See, so what we did, so that we can create the confidence with the person who is marking your paper that you've not used microscopic eyes, is I want us to identify these variables now. So how would we identify these variables? It will be easy. In our calc, again, this is what I want us to do. From our calculator here, click Shift. Then come and click 1. So you'll find that my variables are appearing there. What do we want to achieve first? Summation of xy. Use the direction button here to check where summation of xy is. My summation of xy is showing 3. So I click 3. Then equal sign. You see the value that is giving us? I'm having a value here which I'm going to write it. We have, of course, come and show your value 166 035 905. See, you come to the next item, summation of x. Again, we just click shift, then click 1. I need summation of x, which is number 2. So I come and click 2. Then equal sign. 14,186. You come and have 14,186. The next element comes summation of y. So the same case, I click shift, then I click number 1. I need to check where my summation of y is. On the first page is not appearing, I use the direction button. Summation of y, which is number 2. So I need to click number 2, then equal sign. We have 136, 535. Come and write it here. 136, 535. Do the same with summation of x squared. So I click shift again, I click 1, I check summation of x squared, which is 1. So I click 1 equal sign, which we are having a value of 17, of course, 483,772. Make sure that you are indicating your value so that what you want to kill here is avoidance of doubt. So that in this case, this person should not doubt you that you copy pasted, or maybe you just looked at your neighbor. Summation of x squared. If I told you one summation of x squared, you realize that even if you click shift 1, in this case, you'll get summation of x, then you square. You see, we don't have it in our syntax here. All we have is only summation of x squared. So based on our formula, and this is where I need to majorly insist on. You see, in our formula, in our case, the values that Mwalimu was talking about, you see, determination of b, we said this is summation of x, then we square. So in our case, because we have summation of x, manually in your calculator, do summation of x, which is 14,186, you square. Just do it manually. Do it manually. You'll get 201, 242, 596. You see? So that is what you're getting, summation of x squared, summation of x squared. So once that has been achieved, the next element is to determine the values of b. Don't struggle. You just come on your calculator. Come on your calc. So in our calculator, what you're doing, now we do shift, then come and click what? Number 2 this time round. Click 2. So that you search where my A and B is. If I scroll, I can see I'm having what? A, number 1. If I click number 1, then equal sign, A is giving us what? 3.71. 3.71. I come and have A to be 3 million, that is 3709.29 or 0.30. See? Then you want summation of b. Same case, we click shift, then 2, scroll to where our b is. My b is number 2, so you click 2, equal sign. I'm getting 6.48. So you take 6.48, say 69. See? So what you have literally done, you've summarized all your work. In that case, you literally indicated your elements here. So for exam's purposes, what you can do now, you come and do just a summation. Indicate summation what we've done, 14,186, and I have summation of y to be 136, of course, 535. See? So once done with that, we come now in our point here. See, they want me to determine the value of B, and I have all the variables, yeah? You have literally determined it at that point. See, to show further evidence that you've not copy-pasted, so long as the formula is intact, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. I need to give you guys a break, just a moment here. This is what you need to do. You come and check my B value, showing the examiner that you've not copied. Come and now have your formula. N, which my N in this case, we realize N is 12. So you come and indicate directly that summation of 12, summation of xy, you have 166, 035, 905. See? You less what? Summation of x, 14, 185, times summation of y, which is, of course, 136, 535, all of n, summation of x squared, 17, 483, 772, okay. You less, of course, here the value of what? Summation of x, then squared, 201, 242, 596. You come and give your examiner the value of B that you have determined. So B is 6.47. Just have it at that point. Come and do again for A. So long as the formula is intact, Mwalimu is giving us tricks that you can save a lot of time. Tricks that you can use to save a lot of time. See, so long as the formula is intact. So long as the formula is intact here. See, so we come and do A. So to determine A, you know very well that you're about summation of y, which is 136, 535, you less B 6.47 times summation of x, which is 14, 186, divided by n, which is 12. Come and indicate the value of A that you've achieved. 3709.30. You're done. Come and give your equation. My equation therefore is y is equal to 3709.30. We add 6.47x. You're literally done. You're literally done. You see, you're literally done with that part. Kaput. So at this point, from now henceforth, I'm not expecting any of my students to be going the longer route. I'm not expecting any of my students to be going the longer route in solving this element. I'm not expecting any of my students to be going the longer route. I'm not expecting any of my students to be going the longer route in solving this part. No. I'm not expecting that. I am not expecting that. Okay, so before we go to a break, let us look at multiple regression analysis. See, multiple regression analysis. If I told you having a question, make sure you ask. This is the best time to ask your question. This is the best time to ask your question. If I told you having any question, this is the best time to ask. Okay, this is the best time to ask. So looking at multiple regression analysis, multiple regression analysis. See, so when we are looking at multiple regression analysis, one thing that we need to be able to understand is that at this point we are looking at my equation to be in the form of y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus b3 x3 to the number of variables that I'll be having. We're looking at a situation whereby I am having more than, more than one predictor equation. X2, X3, X4, all the way. But the concept of regression is just the same. And for examination purpose, if at all you are to be examined, then we will be looking at it in form of what? Computerized, generated, computerized, generated regression component. So to make sure that we have this right and to see or to show you how easy this can be, consider our question here. Consider our question at this point. Consider our question here. Let us have that part. Let us have that part. So I want to show us, of course, from our past paper. I think this is a question from our past paper. If at all you check our past paper, that should be April 2025. April 2025, check April 2025, April 2025, question number 4B. April 2025, question number 4B. If at all you're having any question, make sure you ask Mwalimu question. Mwalimu is here to help us. See, Mwalimu is here to help us. Okay. Yeah, good. Yeah, very good. Mwalimu is happy. Very good. Yeah. Yeah, always simple. Management accounting is always very simple, as you're seeing there. Yeah, very good. Management accounting is always very simple, so long as the concept is right, I can agree. So long as the concept is right, even this computerized, you find that you might be given maybe a whole bit, but again, summarizing it, you'll agree that it's very simple. You see, so told that Global Logistics Limited has two operating segments: Longonot Division and Zoya Division. Longonot Division orders most of its consignment of intermediate product, in this case, of course, from Zoya Division using economic order quantity EOQ. The managers of each division are given considerable autonomy in transfer pricing policies. Longonot Division managers want to use multiple linear regression analysis to evaluate the significance of independent variables of material handling cost of its consignment. So we are given the material handling number of orders, number of kilograms ordered. So this is X1 and X2. The computer output is as follows. So all these elements, of course, you're going to discuss. The multiple R square, adjusted R square, standard error observation, we'll be looking at it. Remember also in our case, we'll also be doing about analysis of variance. So we have all these elements. See, including parameter estimate table is as follows, which you're given there. So we are required to write down a multiple linear regression in the form of y is equal to a plus b1 x1 b2 x2. This is the simplest question that you can ever have, and that's why you're also given 2 marks. So long as I know my variables, you'll find that this part will be very simple. Why is Mwalimu keep on saying that this is simple? I want us to agree by the time we are through with this. I know my variables, which is y, so I'll be having my y here. Based on the analysis that we looked at, we say that intercept is simply the values of a. And in our case, you can see my value of a intercept given is 547. So we have 547.3097. We add the value of b1 and b2. In this case, you're given, these are the x variables. These are the values of b. The variables here, these are now our slope. When we'll be looking at regression, you realize that this will be talking about what? The aspect of slope. So the first variable I'm having is 7.8. That should be 835162. That is what I take it to be x1. plus the other variable is 0 point, of course, 107181. This one I'm going to be taking it as what? As x2. See, we have our equation, by the way. That's it. That's it. This is our equation, and that's why you're given only 2 marks. There's nothing complicated there. Someone is laughing, like, just like that. Yes, just like that, imagine. Just like that. Remember, if at all you've considered what I gave you from the first bit when you're looking at all this, what y entails, what a entails, what b entails. Simply, this is what will be required to have. This is what will be required. This is what will be required to have. As simple as that. See, as simple as that. This is what will always be required to have. See. So once this has been determined, the next element will be what? The next element is simple. Of course, jumping into now analyzing these concepts, where we're looking at the concept of ANOVA, analysis of variances, where analysis of variance will be considering aspect to do with standard error. We'll be looking at all these elements, of course, coefficient of determination, the aspect of r squared. Because this is our first lesson, I want us to end our class at that point. Remember, our classes for advanced management accounting, of course, I know by now we have the syllabus, all of us. I know syllabus per se, but we literally have our timetable. We literally have our timetable. So for management accounting, these are the days. These are the days for MA. We will always be meeting here. We'll always be meeting here, of course, on Mondays. See, we'll be meeting here always, of course, on Mondays, and that should be Monday. Monday should be around 6:15, of course, 6:15 to 8. Whereas on Fridays, we'll be meeting from 8:15 in the evening, 8:15 to 10, 8:15 to 10. So these are the days that we'll always be meeting, of course, for advanced management accounting. So make sure you book an appointment with us to enjoy such classes. Probably for those who are watching us, maybe via these platforms. If you're only watching us via YouTube, make sure you reach out to us, 0708 068 851. Just reach us out, and of course, we will be here to guide you. We'll be here to guide you. So that point, thank you so much. We arrange, of course, for our session next time, where we are going to cover, of course, more of these items. So that point, see you in our next class, and God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.